Welcome back to Identiverse 2025. It is day 3. I am here with CyberRisk TV in the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. And last day that we're going to be recording from here. I'm Adrian Sanabria, your host, and joining me is Jackie McGuire.
Good morning. Thank
Morning,
you for
Jackie.
having me back.
Yeah.
I survived my experience last night, so I promised I would come back if I survived, and I did.
So you saw Kenny Chesney at the Sphere.
Yeah, the Sphere. So for people who don't know, the Sphere is this, I don't know how tall it actually is. I would guess about 20, 25 stories. Yeah, and it's a perfect sphere. And it has LED screens both inside and outside. So from outside the Sphere, it's this really cool, like they do like emoji faces and all these things. Inside the Sphere, it's this whole experience, and they've got like subwoofers in your seats. Although ours only worked like twice, so I wasn't sure if they were broken or if they're just expensive, so they only run them. It was also like 50 degrees in there, and I know it's Vegas. So
Really?
it was so cold in there, and they were like over conditioning it, I think. And I mean, in a big open, having worked in HVAC, in a giant open dome, there's no way to do it unless you have massive airflow, circulating, and there's like a wind tunnel in there.
I want to see the power usage for that when you're doing a show, because you got screens on the outside, you got screens on the inside,
and they're all
you've
producing
got
heat.
all the audio, and all that's going to produce heat, and they're cooling it.
Wow. And so it was freezing, but the whole experience was really cool. Like, obviously not my top choice of music. The show was great. Found out Kenny Chesney's 57, still looks amazing, still performs really well, so I was pretty impressed by that. It was a cool.
I could not name a single Kenny Chesney song.
I was telling
I'd probably recognize one.
Yeah, I was telling our crew we
many.
went with that, like, I was expecting to be like, there were so many songs that. No.
Oh, really?
It was the opposite of seeing The Killers. I went to see The Killers, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this song. Oh yeah. And like, I knew this is the complete opposite. And I was really expecting, there was one that was like, no shoes, no shirt, no problem. But nothing, I didn't recognize anything other than like maybe a clip from like a truck commercial or something.
I grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee, and just somehow managed to avoid country music for the most part.
Yeah, I remember in 3rd grade, they did make us learn the line dance to the Chattahoochee in gym class. So that was like and my parents liked old country, right?
Yeah.
Like George Jones, Dolly Parton, like all of those older, but just not, I don't listen to pop country.
It's so important that we all learned line dancing, but not how to manage money. In school.
Who needs to balance a checkbook?
Forget that. We can do square dancing.
Understand APR. And you probably went to school about the same time I did, where President Clinton had the whole like Fit Kids in America thing, where we all had to run the mile and do like the box whatever it was, and so we got. I feel like our gym classes were more intense than most other kids.
Yeah. I'm fine with that. Exercise is good. You need to get kids tired for them to pay attention in class. I feel like that's important.
This is true.
So today's our last day. We've got 2 interviews today. We've got women in identity, and then we also immediately after this have SDG Corporation with AJ Gupta. So they should be here shortly. Yeah. And we are doing Enterprise Security Weekly live from here, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we gave a little sneak peek yesterday, so if you want to know what we're doing, you can go listen to that. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's our first time recording the podcast live together, so that's exciting.
So it's going to be noon Pacific, and we're going to do the news. It's going to be very exciting. Tina's coming on right at 12:30 Pacific, so the news will be done on time.
Yes,
right?
Yes, maybe
30 minutes. And then we're going to wrap up after the podcast for the day, and we'll be done.
Yeah, we'll head home, and I actually have a week at home next week, which is unusual, the full week. So
I am scheduling. I'm working on the Armenian Central Bank with my travel out to Armenia next week. So I don't know which day I'm leaving. It's going to be probably Thursday.
Interesting.
So it's going to be. I haven't checked what international power adapters I need yet. I need to figure that out. I'm very nervous taking such a long trip, and a week out, I don't know what day I'm leaving.
What you're doing, I've only.
So that's a little nerve-wracking.
I've only flown to Europe a couple times, and it was always like I way overpacked, and we ended up dragging 3 suitcases, and it was. I feel like cause you don't know anything there, right? It's not like you're just like, I forgot something. I'm gonna go to Walmart.
Yeah. So I did a podcast this morning. It's a podcast that focuses on third-party risk, and it was interesting. We were going over it, and identity just kept coming up because we're talking about a lot of breach effects or the details that are coming out of some of these breaches. So everybody's probably seen the UK retail companies like Mark and Spencer that got hit, and so they found some journalists found the common denominator seems to be Tata Consulting. And so a lot of them are using Tata Consulting for all kinds of things, but basically employees there have access into these networks, and we know attackers have recognized that there's bang for your buck when you hit a services provider. Instead of hacking one company, directly, you can just hack a services provider who has a connection into maybe hundreds, thousands of companies, right? And it seems, we don't know for sure, but that
it would be hard to believe that.
We know Mark and Spencer's did come from Tata, so the other two, it'd be a heck of a coincidence for that not to be the same route.
Yeah. Or maybe they have some configuration setup that's common amongst Tata customers that they were able to exploit elsewhere, but initially discovered. So I was telling you before we started that my kid's school actually had a phishing attack issue, and I got an email yesterday afternoon, and it's summer vacation in Arizona already, and it said, hey, a phishing email basically made its way into students' inboxes, but that happened because I think a faculty member clicked on a link in a phishing email. So they completely shut all internet email service down immediately for the whole district, removed the email from a bunch of students' inboxes, and now are going back to see if
sounds like a good
happened.
Response for a school.
It was in the detail of the message, it was like, we're always focused on cybersecurity. We're going to do another phishing awareness training for all of our students. I was really impressed because we're a smaller, we're the next biggest town outside Tucson, Marana. And for being a somewhat smaller kind of suburb town, the response was almost immediate and with really clear communication, which would be a masterclass for some of our Fortune 500s who can't manage that.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah,
and then the other one we talked about was Deloitte was managing some VPNs for the state of Rhode Island. So come to find it was a Deloitte employee's account that was hit there, and that was the path in. And they were in for 5 months before the attack was detected.
So I want to say that I actually wrote 2025 predictions last year. It was either a 2024 prediction or 2025, and one of them was MSPs, MSSPs, and consulting firms will be the new top target because it's concentrated risk, concentrated opportunity. So I wrote about this. I predicted this.
It's happening.
As an analyst, that's my job, right? Is to cherry pick the things I was right about and only talk about those after the fact.
That's important. We won't talk about the other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares what I was wrong about?
All right, that's all for now. We'll be back with you in just a moment with our first interview with SDG.